Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today we're going to jump back on the YJ2 and take care of a few odds and ends on it that, I guess my goal on that is to get it so we can start it and ride it, although maybe not being everything perfect on it, but just so we know what we need to do. And once we've done that, then I think what we'll do is go ahead and tear it down, and I'm going to go ahead and paint that frame and all the blue parts, because there's some black parts that I had to come up with that are going to not look right. So we're just going to paint the whole thing. So we'll try to get it so it's functional, and then we can go ahead and tear it down. But like with the wheels and stuff, we're not going to have to do anything there. I'm going to go ahead and get the tires on it now. The rims are going to polish up just fine. The spokes are just really nice looking for as old a bike as this is. I think it's been undercover most of the time. But anyhow, that's the direction I'm going to go with this one, and we'll get started on that, tearing it down after we get it functional, so that we can test ride it and see if there's anything that we need to get into inside. But otherwise, we're probably just, I'll probably end up putting a set of new rings in it or something, giving it a hone, because it sounds tight to me. So anyhow, that's where we're going. So let's get down here and take care of a few of the little nit-noy things that, and just some of the missing parts. Okay guys, this was really sharp back here where this probably the chain came off. So I took my sander and I sanded that down. I'll probably just stick some primer on it. I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this yet. Right now I'm just trying to get it all together, functional, and then we'll see what we want to do with it later. But anyhow, that was really sharp, so I took care of that primarily so I wouldn't cut myself. And the sprocket was terribly rusted on both sides, and you can see back here where the chain had come off. And it didn't have a count on it. I counted them, and it's a 39, so I went ahead and marked it as such. And that turns out to be the standard sprocket for these. You can get above and below, but that's what we're going to put back on it for now. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take some sandpaper and clean up the rust on the drum of the brake drum in there. But before I start that looks pretty nice on there, that wheel or tire, doesn't it? Sure hope it'll fit. But I'm going to go ahead and pop the bearings and seals out. If I need new bearings, I'll put those in. If I don't, I'll lube them up, clean them up and lube them up, and the same with the seals. For those of you who've never used one of these blind bearing pullers, it slips right in there, and then you just tighten it up. And there's no use pulling the seal out. It'll come out with the bearing and probably make the transition a lot better than trying to pop it out of there with a screwdriver. There we go. So we got the bearing in the seal. Looks kind of crusty. We'll see. And then you just go back in here and loosen it up. Lefty loosey. And that should just pull off of the bearing. Looks pretty bad, but it sounds pretty good, so we'll clean it up along with the seal, and we can go ahead and Well, doesn't want to come out of there. It's probably got to go in just that way. Probably has to come out the other side. Some of them are directional. Okay, I've got the bearings put back in, cleaned up and put in, and try to get the sprocket on there now. And these are, they use the same catches, or not catches, tabs that the AT1 and CT1 does. The bolts really are short though. I don't know why they're so short, but they are. Yeah, it looks like, well, I think they are. By golly, I think maybe they're not. Maybe if I go another way here. Well, I'm just having trouble with that. Maybe if we go this way. I think maybe it'll go that way. We'll get a, and try to get some new nuts there, I think. They probably are a little different. Sure like to be able to use them. Look like that'll work. All right, I'm gonna see if I can find some new nuts. Okay, we had to persuade them a little bit, but I think they'll work. And I got some new nuts there. All right. And I'll go ahead and get these bent up. All right. Got those bent over, so we'll see if this will all go together now. Probably the best thing to do is to kind of get this started over here, maybe. I may have to lift this up a little. I think I'm going to have to lift the bike up a little bit, bigger tire. Okay. It looks like it's going to be okay unless it runs into something with the kickstand. That it was pretty close there, but we'll see. I've got a new chain, so we'll be getting that on. I've got to get the front sprocket on, and then we'll start working on the shifter. Okay, so that's, I think, about where we'll leave it for now. Can't go by the lines. I'm going to have to move the brake arm back a little bit. It really needs to see how much slack we've got there. Yeah, I think everything is up. Well, I can probably take this lift out now. I noticed though when I had it all together, it felt like it was a little bit, it needed to come back just a little bit. Let me lift this back up. I'll raise the kickstand. We'll see see if it interferes at all. I think it's okay. I believe it is. It's tight, but you wouldn't want a bigger tire. That's as big as you're gonna want, especially with it pushed forward. But it should be okay. Okay, it's pretty tight, but there's plenty of room. You see right there. And actually there's a little bit more on the other side. So we'll be getting the sprocket back on, and then we'll start adjusting, trying to figure out, since I've got this piece here now, so we should be able to get that figured out. Okay, I've got to make some cables too. I've already made the clutch cable. It was completely broken at the handlebars, and this is the brake cable, and it's pretty well broken there too. The good thing is I can go ahead and use the sheathing for the originals. I kind of like that because it's got the little lubrication fitting here in the middle. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna cut this to the same length as this one. The clutch was a little different. I did have to determine an end for it. This is the only end I had, and I just cut it long and then went up to the handlebar and brought the cable through. See, these you got to be pretty precise because there's no adjustment here. So I hooked it up down at the engine, and then brought it back up here and brought it to the center of the hole. Actually to the widest part on the hole, the furthest part out. I did that and then marked it, and then went back up and put the fitting on, and it worked just perfect. So you've got to be pretty precise on these when you don't have adjusters at the handlebar. You know, I can, it's working real good here. It's maybe a little bit loose, so I'll have to adjust it down there. But, you know, we don't even know whether the clutch works or not yet. I think it does, but, you know, usually if they've set for a while, they're frozen. So I've got the new lever on over here, and we're going to go ahead, and this one should be relatively easy since we already have the dimension. We'll just make it, the inner, the same length. Okay, so I'm just going to take a piece of tape here, and since this end is still attached, I'm just going to slide the little collar up a little bit, and I'm going to tape these two right at the same point, and then we can come down to here and see, since those go right on the end, we should be able to go right for the end. There's a little more adjustment on the brake, but not much. You still only have it in one place. Okay, so we've got to go ahead and sever this other end here. Looks like our ends are the same. So I'll just cut it right as close as I can to the end there, and then just pull it through. And then we can take our new one, just run it through. And if we put them right on the ends, we should be good. Okay, I just drilled the little cup hole for the bird nest right there. Some of these don't have them, and you really need to have that in there. So I'll be using the original fittings here, but putting new solder on fittings on. And this is 2mm. So we want to make sure we've got this on and with the large hole out, because that's what's going to go into that part right there. And like I say, this is 2mm cable. So there's our bird nest. Oops, you know what I forgot to do? Forgot to put the other fitting on. I'm saved by the fact that I hadn't put the other end on yet. Stuff happens, you know what I mean? Okay. Okay. Just tap that down into the piece. And we've got our fitting in there and it's going the right way. So we'll clean. get our flux on. And the flux is soaking in. Don't need it all the way up here though. Okay. And we'll go ahead and solder. About 10 seconds. Drop it in some water, cool her off. And there's that in. Now we got to make sure we've got all the components on this one when we do it. Okay, so we've got our little fitting there, and get this one on, and then we'll put our bird nest. Okay. Okay, a lot of times I did this on the other one too. When you get a really good full bird nest, you've got to kind of get it down in there. All right, so now we'll clean, and we do have that piece on right. Get our flux on. That one's got a tail on it. That fell off. That's kind of over here on the side. So, and then we just got it hooked up here. Yeah, some of these are different size for some reason. Let me find a different wrench. Okay, so that feels good. And I had this off, so I lubricated it. Seems a little sticky when it goes all the way up. But I think the vibration lets it return. We'll see, we'll keep an eye on that. So we've got all our cabling. I noticed that probably the cable for the speedometer cable is free. I can turn it, and I've got it disconnected on the gauge end too. But I think there's something wrong with the gauge, and it doesn't turn. So we'll be having to take a peek at that also. Okay, guys, got a foot peg for this bike, and as you can see, it's pretty bent. And one thing I notice is when I go to install it, it should go, this piece goes under the brake pedal, and this is the brake pedal stop. But then when I go to put it on, it's too narrow to go on here, and that's all because of all the bends. It's just too narrow here, not by much, just a little bit. So let's go up to the bench and see what we can find out about that. Okay, just while I was still under there, I took a measurement of the place that this goes, and it's right at 4 inches. So I come back over here and I see that that won't go in there, and it does on the back side where it's welded. So we've got part of the bend has happened right here. So when we straighten that out, then I think we'll be good here. Okay, I'm going to stick a piece of pipe on here and see what I can do. I normally like to heat this stuff up when I bend it, but this being bent in here, if I heat it up, it won't do anything for it. So that's what I've got to kind of keep in mind here. I can move this until I can get it to work. Yeah, see that I think will work. And then I can heat these outside pieces. You know, just give it another little tweak. All right. Yeah, that should work. Okay, get back under the brake pedal there. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Got a bolt here. I'm not having any luck getting that through all the way though. Oh, it's not off much. I see why though. It's I think it'll go. Yeah, there it went. But it's touching the case over here. Oh, wait a minute, I think I got that. It's all bent up where it goes under the brake too. I'm gonna have to address that too. And on this side we've got, see, this is the stop for the brake pedal, and they generally don't fit real good there, but the pedal actually needs to go in a little bit. But you can see here where it's touching the case. So it's got to kind of be pulled down and out. And then this moved in, and this probably out some more. So that's kind of my next thing I got to do. I've got to get that. And the other side is bent just as bad, just different. I found out why the speedometer wasn't working. You can see here on the end, it's rounded off, the cable is. So I checked the speedometer and it does work, I did find another one, I believe, that's got a better molding on it, and it's actually for a YL1, so it'll have 90 instead of 80 on the speedometer, and it'll have a different, I think it's got a charge light, but that's the reason why it wasn't working. And who knows why, maybe it just wasn't in all the way or in a bind or something, I don't know. And we move around here to the tail light. And I've still got to get in here and weld these, so that will be forthcoming. But this one's probably all right, but I doubt if somebody's put this screw in there, so the threads are probably messed up. Let's see if we can kind of make this one look like the other one. Except a little straighter, maybe. Let's see what this looks like. Looks like it needs to come out a little more. That way. Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's see, that should be a number 4. Okay, yep, so let's see what this side is. Yeah, they forced that thing in there. Let's try and chase it with a tap real quick. Yeah, I bet that'll work. There's lots of little things that just get messed up on these things over time. There, I think that'll work. I don't think I need that long a screw. Probably one about like that'll do it. Let's see. No, I think it's got to be longer than that. Just probably had the right one there. Yep, I think that's going to do it. This one, I don't know. I think we're kind of going to need to move over a little bit. That looks good. Let's see if that'll go in there. Oh, something not right there. I think all the basic ingredients are right. We just don't have it quite lined up. Let me mess with this a little bit. Looks like maybe I need to tweak this just a little bit. There. I think that'll work. So all that's straightened up. We just need to fix our crack here. I think the other side's okay. There's a little material missing there, but just looks like crack here is the only problem. Okay, I've been soaking these decals that were on this plastic side cover, and I guess I've had it soaking. I just use this Goo Gone. In my experience, it won't hurt anything. And what I did was I just laid a paper towel on there and soaked it good with it. And it's not just coming right off, but it's it's doing pretty good. A lot better than trying to get it off with a razor blade without soaking it. I had another one here. That one came off pretty good. And this one isn't doing too bad. Yeah, some places around the edges really comes off easy. So that's a solution for you if you got some decals that you're trying to get off. Just give it some time to work. And this, like I say, this was a plastic one. I actually thought all these were steel, but this one isn't. It's plastic. And now I'm going to have to go back in. Well, it really needs to be painted. I'm going to have to paint it the blue probably if that's what I'm going to do. But if it was a black one, I believe you could probably buff most of this out. But anyhow, that worked pretty good. Just don't get in a hurry and let it soak for a while. Okay guys, this is the speedometer that came off of the YJ2. And this one actually comes off of a YL1 twin, 100 twin. So you can see you got another 10 miles per hour here, and you've got a charge light, which we probably won't use. But I just couldn't find a good one for the YJ2. That doesn't mean that one won't come up eventually, but I saw this one and it was in really good shape. The glass was very good without a bunch of condensation underneath it. And the trim around it was not damaged like this one. So it wasn't that expensive, I think 45 bucks or something like that. So I went ahead and picked that up, and it said that it worked, so we'll just see. So yes, it does. Looks good. Got a few more miles on it, but you know, as I showed you with the speedometer cable being rounded off, I have a feeling that this one has a lot more miles on it than what I thought it did. Don't know whether it's close to this amount, but that's what we've got. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I believe it. Like I say, it's got another 10 miles. You know, maybe this thing's that fast. I doubt it. The YL1's not even that fast. Anyhow, this is another thing that I thought about for this bike. Remember, I wanted to take off the fork covers and use gaiters on it. You know, otherwise the springs will be exposed like the YL1. And I want to put the gaiters on it because they're probably going to be pretty, you know, they're not going to be coated or plated or anything. They're just going to be regular springs. So, and who knows, the fork tubes may be toast too. I don't know. We'll just see. But anyhow, I think this will allow us to do that. Let's go over and take a look at that. Okay. Yeah, this top cover here, these just, along with the front fender, really make the front end of this bike look pretty bad in my opinion. These will go up here in place of it, and so this used to cover the springs. The springs they're external, but this covers it, and maybe I'll be able to use the gaiters on it. That's what I hope. Let me grab those. Okay, like I said, these will go up here, and then these are the gaiters that I used on the YL2C, and I believe I can use them on here maybe also, maybe with a little ingenuity. But anyhow, it's you know, might be able to find something a little better. I don't know. These actually are for a Honda CL and Super 90, I think. I really couldn't find anything, but they work perfectly on the YL2C. So anyhow, I had another pair of those, so I'm going to try to use them on here. If not, I'll try to hunt for some that will work. And you know, I don't know, I haven't had this off yet, so I don't even know whether this will work. But it's worth a shot, and it's better than having to make something to do it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm real close to getting the front end off, getting ready to strip it down, get fork seals in it, put it back together, and do what I'm thinking about doing here. Okay, over here, I went up and spent a little time with my local locksmith, and he was able to cut me a key, a couple keys that'll fit this, and it works real good. So money well spent there. I think he got me $40 to figure out, because the numbers that were on here, none of the numbers worked. So I don't know what he did, but he had to probably pull the tumbler somehow, so he probably had to undo the switch. I don't know. Doesn't matter. You can't hardly find a switch. If you do, they're 150 plus. So I've made out like a bandit, I feel. And it's I've got a 6-volt battery in here. This is probably not the right one, but I was able to make it fit, and the cover does go on. I got my my late model mini fuse set up here, just like I do on all my bikes. I always keep those the factory ones, but I like these because they just it's trying to find those glass fuses, and you know, it's just this is just a much better deal. It's cleaner, safer, I think. So I've got my 10 amp fuse in there, and I've got it pretty well hooked up. And I've got, when I turn the key on, I've got what I believe is the light for showing the speedometer, the backlight. And I went through, and these 2 bulbs were burnt out, and I had new bulbs for them, so I went ahead and put those in. It's not all hooked up yet, so just going to wait until I get all that put in before I you know, make sure all the wiring is right and everything. But it looks pretty good. There was an extra wire on this one. Let me show you. Yeah, somebody had made this one and put it in as a ground along with this ground, and I don't think it belonged there. It was connected to a brown wire, and all the brown wires should be into this terminal. Brown on these bikes is common, so there was a space open there for it, so I just went ahead and plugged it in. So we'll see how that works. I think I've gotten, let's see here, I've got the brake light, I think. Yeah, see? So I've got the brake light working. I'm working on the horn right now. And I took it apart, and I think I'm just having trouble getting voltage here. I've got a new horn. It's kind of a, you know, it's a not even a reproduction, it's just an aftermarket. And sometimes I can get it to work, but I don't think I'm getting the good voltage here. So I'm probably gonna have to tear into the switch here. Sometimes if I move it around a little bit, I can get it to work. This one for the headlight is really stiff, so all this is gonna have to be worked. But at this point, I've got battery voltage to everything, and I still have spark, and when I turn the switch off, I don't have spark. So all that is working as it should. And other than that, I think that's about all I've done. I still need to work on the shifter a little bit, and I'm going to go through that with you. Another thing I did is I went ahead, like we were straightening out the foot pegs. These are the original foot pegs for this bike. I mean, not the original ones that came on it. Who knows where those are? But these came off of a Campus 60. And this is all the setup for the side stand for a CS3C. So that would be the 200 twin. And I'm probably going to have to cut this up a little bit and refab it, but I just want to go ahead and get a side stand on here too. I think it'll work just fine. I did this on my CS AS1C. I used the same setup on it, and it was pretty easy to fabricate. So I'll be doing that also. But I've been working on this, and I think I've got it figured out. I'm just going to take it back off and take care of one thing. I got a new spring that I didn't have before. I'm going to go ahead and install that, and then we'll see what we can do with this. And one other thing up front is I was able to find another fender. I think this one, if I can get it to fit, I think it will look a lot nicer on there. Let's see, it's going to go this way. So I think if it'll fit, that will work nice. If it won't fit, I guess we'll make it fit. Okay, the way I understand it and what I've figured out is when you're doing this, you kind of need to have the bike on the stand and the back wheel off the ground, so you can move things around a little bit in order to get all this to fit together for you. And this was what was missing on this bike, this and the nut and the washer. And what I did was I eliminated the washer and the regular nut and just went to a nylock. So hopefully, you can't lose it that way. But anyhow, this moves in and out, and that's how you control your shifting. And when you're putting all this shifting mechanism on, they tell you to make sure it's in high gear, which is fourth on this one. And that's where we're at right now. And then I slide it in a little bit, and I'm between gears, and there's third, and then a little further. There's second. And there's first. And then there's neutral. So we're going to bring this out to fourth right there. I've already got this tight. And you need a couple, probably more hands than you have. One thing I can't cover it much because I don't know that much about it. This one is an eccentric that you kind of works like the shifter does. Your spring is going to fit over that, and it's going to move it slightly to give you some slight adjustment. And these two, from what I understand, they control trying to center. There's a little ball expander on this rod, and when it goes into each gear, it pushes 4 balls out, and they lock into the gears. And if you're not quite centered, it can pop out. So from what I understand, these are what you use to center that. But I haven't done it, and I think you have to have it apart in order to do it so you can center them visually. I just don't know. I'm going to try it without doing anything with these. I have gone in here and just checked to make sure that the nuts were tight before I go back together, and I did the same with this one. So all that stuff I'm hoping is set the way it should be and it works. But I'm wondering if that is in fact true, because all this stuff was off. So I wonder if they were in there trying to get this thing to shift right. You know, that's kind of what I'm thinking anyway. But I think the prudent thing to do is to go ahead and put it together the way it is set up now. And if it works fine, then it works fine. If it doesn't, then we'll have to deal with that. But as of right now, we're just going to put it back together and make sure that, you know, hopefully it's in good shape. Okay, the next thing that I've got here is I need to change the spring out on this. And this piece here was one of the pieces that I had to get. And I went ahead and got a new shift fork too. None of that was very expensive. There's, I believe this washer was missing, and you can see it's pretty thick. So I went ahead and got it. Got anything that was questionable, I believe. And it took a little while to get the spring in, and I'm probably going to have to, no, I'm able to get it. All right. And there's a washer that goes there also, this one right there. So this needs to go in the slot. And this is just kind of a sloppy mess for a little while until we get everything in there. But it's kind of got to go in at the same time. So let me get you up here and let's see if we can get it installed. Okay, so this, I think the reason why they want you in fourth, and it just moved in on me a little bit, just so you can get this into the selector. And let's see, there we go. Nope, I'm in the wrong place though. I need to be over here. Okay, so that's loosely in place, and what I did was I backed this out so I don't have to deal with the spring pressure when I'm moving all this stuff. And this is your neutral indicator. It's going to line up with your neutral switch here and is going to make your contact. So the next thing we do, and I'm going to put just a little bit of lube back there and on that where that spring goes. I'm using a lithium spray grease here. Okay, and then this is going to go it's going to go in this hole, and the fork is going to go up into here, and it actually goes around the cogs on the backside of this selector shaft right here that moves. Okay. I don't think we're going to be able to show that, but you know, it's got to go in there. This lines up, the spring lines up, and the fork lines up. So it's not lining up. We'll get it though. Okay, I've got it located at the hole back here and the spring. And all right, I think that's all done there. Okay, so you can see it went in the hole here. It's around the spring back here, and the fork is engaged in the selector. Okay, so we're hoping everything is where it ought to be there. So I'll go ahead and get these screws started before we lose everything. I'm sure there's some old timers out there who can tell me how to adjust all this if I need it. I've got a manual. It's pretty darn vague. I'm just hoping that that we don't need to make any final adjustments. But why would I think that? Almost everything I touch on these things takes more than a final adjustment. All right. I'll get my impact and I'll give these a little pop each, but we'll first go and see if we've got the shifting action that we need. And I'm just going to give this a little bit of grease in the areas that I think it needs it in. And see, all this is still kind of loose here. So I'm going to slip the side cover on, which means I've got to pop the foot pegs off, but it's not a big deal. Also have to get this screwed back down. This is like a detent. It's spring loaded, so that's why I wanted to kind of move it there, or to loosen it, so I didn't have to fight that spring the whole time. And this actually gets a little lubricant down the hole too, but I believe that is probably a little better done with some oil maybe. So that's what I did there. So let me get the foot pegs off and we'll go see if it'll shift. Okay, we've got one more thing we need to do here is get our neutral wire hooked up. Okay. Now let's, you can probably mess with it, but you're not going to have a for sure thing until you've got your side cover on. You know, where it holds everything for you. Let me get a couple screws in, and I'll get the shifter on. All right, let's see where we're at. Let's see, neutral is all the way up, so we're there right now. So our first gear right there, down. Second one, down. Third one, down. And fourth one down. So I think if we go down again, no, we got to go all the way back up. Third, second, first, and neutral. Okay, so it's looking good. I mean, we're not going to be able to tell till we get it on the road so we can drive it, but it's shifting through all four gears. And they're solid, so we'll see where that goes. I don't have the proper shifter for that, so I've got one for I believe this is a CT1. I just got, I think maybe I found one. I don't know. I ordered it. It's actually a new one. The used ones on eBay were like $80 and $90, and you know, of course, they got the back one on it too. You get the front and the back pedal. I've never been an advocate of those, but you know, they're cool. They still make one for this. It's actually a replacement from probably another bike. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but it was, like $37 or something like that. But it's on order and won't be in until middle of July, I think. So I'll probably just use this one for now. And, I'm not even sure what the other one's going to look like. So that's another one of those little things that you just don't know when you order something new and it's a replacement for that, what you're going to get. Okay, I'll probably be pulling this back off, hopefully not for the shifting adjustment, but for to look over the points and condenser and all that stuff, check the timing. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and spin this around, and we're going to look at starting on the front end, getting the new tire up there, getting the forks resealed, and try to spiffy up that front end a little bit. Okay guys, there you have it. We made quite a bit of progress on the YJ2 Campus 60, and it's kind of coming back together. The forks we're working on now. I've got the gas tank, got the metal rescue in it, and there wasn't a lot of rust in there, but there was a lot of debris. So that's more of what's coming out than anything. But I went ahead and put the metal rescue in it just to clean out whatever might be in there. I'm putting this together on Memorial Day weekend, and I just want to thank and salute the veterans, past, future, and especially the ones that have paid the ultimate sacrifice to make this country what it is. And we couldn't have been in the place that we're in without their sacrifice. So again, thank you. The next thing we'll probably do will be the HS1 Yamaha 90 Twin. I don't think I'm going to share with you removing that from the frame or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that out. It's not it's not a glorious job. I think everybody can pull a few bolts out and disconnect some cables and get the engine out. And once I get the engine out and get it on the bench, then I'll show you, we'll take you along on the ride for seeing what's up with that engine. And that's probably going to be the next one you see. And oh, this bike here, this YJ2, I cannot believe the response I've had to this bike. I didn't get as many views as quickly on the Suzuki RM or the Yamaha 250 MX or just about anything. This is just, I don't know where this is coming from. Like I said, I used to own one of these back in the 60s, and I didn't really care for it then. And other than I enjoyed having the bike, it just really wasn't what I wanted. I was, the Enduros hadn't came out yet, but they were on the way, and I actually wanted like the YL2C or something, with the trail package on it. But, I've just been amazed at the amount of people that view or have watched what's going on with this one. And I think we've only had one or two videos. And this is what I'm calling part one of the repair of this bike. And at the end of the day, once we get this so it's fully functional, we can take it and test ride it and make sure there's nothing awry inside the engine, then I'm going to go ahead and pull this down. And since we've got a lot of these, you know, we've got the black covers for both sides, it's just not going to do very well unless I paint it. And I think that's what I'm going to go. We're coming into summer here in Montana, so I should be able to strip this down, get it painted, and start putting it back together. But to go over it in the beginning and make sure we've got the parts we need, things repaired, to see even if we can repair some things, that's my goal now. And like I say, in the next video on this one, we'll be doing the fork tear down, resealing it, like I talked about for the gaiters, putting the gaiters on instead of the big ugly covered tubes that they had on there. We're going to try to make it a little sportier, and that's I think primarily the reason I'm thinking that way is because that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid and riding this bike for the first time. I did get rid of the fender, and I think I just made one out of some sheet metal or something and made a high fender for it or whatever. You know, things kids do. Anyhow, I just really didn't care for the bike then, but I've grown to really appreciate it now. And these rotary valve engines, although they're kind of wide, they make a lot of power for their size. So anyhow, this is an interesting, what's really interesting is the amount of people that have been viewing it. And there was a huge following on the YL2C also. So I think there's a lot of old timers like me out there that are interested in these bikes. So we're going to keep on keeping on, and we're going to make this one a lot nicer than it is now. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.